Mad Dogs. It's a great film. It's a film about four men in their 40s who are on a trip, they think, to see an old friend. And they're all at a bit of a crossroads in their lives. It's funny, but it's also quite savage and it's quite dark. And it's really about friendship and about whether this friendship's going to survive the horrors these boys are going to go through. I mean, I've never stopped experimenting. I did some films like Births, Marriages and Deaths and Low Winter Sun and Pierpoint, where you have to keep on exploring the medium and what you're going to do and how you're going to make it work. I think what the Coen brothers do is they just sometimes put things in your face, and some of this is very in your face as a piece of work. It's quite brave and it's quite dangerous, and it's got a different sort of edge to it. So it's not like we're just observing people. We actually are at times, with the camera and with the way we're shooting it, putting ourselves almost in their place at times. And as Hitchcock did it as part of his work, and he was a master at it. So we're just trying to play with some of those genres and have some fun with it as well. One of the most fantastic scenes which we shot was where the boys chopped Alvo's hands off to make it look like a Serbian mafia killing, which is, I think, extremely funny, and it will be extremely funny. Slightly revolting, but very entertaining. And at the end they realise they've lost a foot and they can't find the foot. So that was my highlight so far in terms of the film. And the other highlight was filming on a small beach and then having to get back on the boats in a swell that was about 15 feet. And then we were being pushed along in this swell. The actors were down below putting their life jackets on, and I was hanging on the top, and there were dolphins going by. It was fantastic. So that was the best bit for me. Nothing to do with the film, but great moment.
We've got a very clever guy called Sangeet who's actually made the corpse for Alvo, which we see a lot of after his murder. But obviously I have to match the wounds that are inflicted on Ben Chaplin, who plays Alvo, to the corpse. So I've been involved very much in the corpse and working out where the bullets will be, and to make it the most practical for me in terms of replicating it on the real actor. I've looked at a lot of very gruesome pictures in my time, which I wouldn't recommend, but it's necessary. I think you have to be as realistic as you can, and things like bullet hits, for instance, to the head, which is what happens to one of the characters. There's an armature inside this body, and you'll see that the arms move like there's a ball and joint socket in there and the elbow, so we can move them around and set the body in any position we want. Similarly, the legs all move, and because at certain points during the story the legs come off and the arms come off, they have to be made in such a way that they are detachable, so that these are all bolt-on hands and arms which can come off as and when required. And obviously, because of the way he dies, he's shot in the front of the head, and I don't think that bullet hits, but the entry wound is quite small, but the exit wound is quite big, which is why another good reason for using the dummy, because obviously on an actor you can't take away, you can only add.
The idea in this is that from the time that Alvo dies, the guys stay in the same clothes and just get more and more dirty and distressed. So, which is why we have rather a lot of, one shirt. We've got 10 of them, and it sounded on the paper it looked like this was, a job from heaven. It would be really, really easy, but in fact, because they're all pale and British, their colour has to be changed, and that has to be controlled, and that's having an impact on the clothing. So, we've got doubles, triples, multiples of it.
We've got a system here where we haven't brought the traditional Hollywood base camp trailer city with us. We've actually hired another villa, which is within walking distance of our set. It has been a very user-friendly way of working here, and I think it has given the shoot an atmosphere that is good and calm, and it's as if we're going to work in the fields. We walk between the unit base and the villa, and if there's anything that I'm very pleased about choosing this location, is we've been able to set it up in a slightly unconventional way for television drama of this type. And in the villa we hired, I'm very pleased to say we found this little larder with marble shelves, and instead of having cheese and olives and goodness knows what the farmer would have kept in there, we've got our film stock at a lovely even temperature. So while the camera car is baking, our stock is at a consistent temperature. So there have been little advantages to shooting and choosing this way of working?
The first 2 eps were pretty much solid and have been throughout, and 3 and 4 kind of drifted around a little bit, but the actual outcome has always been pretty much as was expected. And you know, there is a twist, and you don't really know who the enemy is. You don't know whether it's corrupt cops, whether it's a Serbian mafia, whether there is somebody else involved. It's a tricky thriller to try and sort of unfathom, and that hasn't really changed. We did change the end a bit to make it a bit clearer, and we've also got a character, a shady character called Dominic, who sort of hovers over the whole event really, and it turns out that, you know, that he's pretty influential right at the end. So it's left nicely for a second series, to be honest with you.